Alright, you heletic hojos. It's time to dust off your starter jackets, rip off those tearaways, and blow into your game cartridges. I'm Sam Blanford.
I'm Sean Kelly.
And I'm Simon Blanford.
And we wish it was the 90s. Well, listeners, we are back. Fittingly starting off today with another Cloud flashback. Last time I believe we left off, Cloud was in a poor state in Medeal with Tifa looking after him. And the ultimate weapon was flying over Medeal. And I believe I don't actually know whether you
fight it.
Do you fight it at that point?
It's the first time you fight it.
With a Cloud and Tifa-less party.
And you fall into the live stream, basically. Tifa and Cloud end up falling into the live stream.
Everyone else gets away on the Highwind.
That's right. What is the live stream?
That's the planet's juice, baby. That is right. That's what Shinra mines for energy, and it's like the planet's blood almost, right? That's the idea. It's a metaphor for all the precious minerals and things that we as humans pillage to make our cars move, and
I like it.
That's the heavy-handed metaphor of this game, isn't it?
Absolutely, I agree. I couldn't have put it as articulately as that, but I completely agree with you, Sean.
It actually struck a chord with me this week when I was scavenging for media for our social media platforms and did a 30-minute deep dive on Captain Planet.
Hey, we'll cover Captain Planet at some point, I'm sure.
We'll at least sing that song.
There's some weird scenes as like Tifa is like on a black background. You're like spiraling down into somewhere, which turns out it is Cloud's subconscious. Actually, Simon, you did message me before. You've got extensive notes on this bit, and I know that you love flashbacks. So would you like to lead us through Cloud's therapy session?
Not particularly. I feel like a bit of a fraud, actually, in the sense that I've always loved this game. And I was just looking online to find out stuff about it and what people thought about it. And, people in the know say this is what sets this game apart from every other game. This is what makes it.
Sworn it was the vastness.
The deep dive into character. Well, I think it's the vastness, obviously. But everybody else thinks it's this deep dive into psychoanalytics of character almost, and I just couldn't get into it at all as per usual.
I've just got a question before we spend the next 2 hours talking about this flashback.
God, I hope not.
Did you guys? So they escape on the Highwind, and Sid is the default leader because every other person on the team has proven they're a bad leader. At some stage,
as opposed to Sid, who's been a wonderful leader at his time in
well, he's the captain of the Highwind, so there's a default.
There is a default there, yes.
I think I did stuff with the crew before Cloud's mind trip.
What?
Maybe not. Like North Coral, the Fort Condor mission.
Yeah, we did that. We did that last podcast.
The Phoenix one.
Yeah, we did. We talked about.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, the average podcasting.
We're still in the middle of the huge materia hunt.
Oh, that makes sense because I listened to the first 40 minutes of the last episode.
Yeah, much like our listeners.
Hey, and then listeners, you'll be very glad to know that got my code of compliance. Me and my wife are moving into our new house as we speak. A few internet issues, got to get it. So, there's teething problems, but that's exciting. Sorry, I derailed us. Simon, as you were about to go in depth on your favourite moment in the game.
No, I wasn't actually. I was hoping Sam and you could sort of
All right. Why don't you go make a cup of tea then, Simon?
carry us while I just drink this beer.
So, pretty much, we're not going to spend too much time on this. But what I gather from
This
it,
is my favourite part. I know Simon hates it, but I don't care.
I'd love to hear what you think about it.
yeah. So there's four basic scenes or flashbacks that you can kind of go into. It's real weird. You're in like a space, and there's like a see-through large cloud who's like bobbing his head, like shaking his head with his hands over his ears, completely losing his shit. And I think there's an order to it. So there's two Nibelheim flashbacks,
Yep.
and then there's two like childhood flashbacks. So the first one you go to is where Tifa basically finally tells Cloud that he wasn't the soldier member that came with Sephiroth, and it was Zack Fair. And you see Zack Fair arrive at the foot of the town. Not sure whether Cloud was there at that point, or was he one of those just grunts. We find out soon that he's a grunt, obviously, but we don't know whether he was actually there.
No.
And that's quite a short one. And then the next one's quite short as well. It goes to the well, which we saw a long, long time ago, I believe, when they were in Midgar. And I've just got, did this actually happen? I don't actually know whether that happened or not.
I believe that happened. I believe everything you go to here happened, because this is, the depths of his memory.
Yeah. And basically Tifa says something around like, you need to give me a memory or something like that. And so Cloud says, Tifa, do you know where this window goes? And there's a little window there. Little do you know, it goes into her undie drawer. But you go into her room, and this is, I think the purpose of this one is to kind of let the audience know that Tifa and Cloud weren't very close. Is that right?
And yeah, I think it's that, but also that he's not a 5-year-old clone. That those memories he has of his childhood are in fact real. Because last time we left off, Sephiroth had convinced him that he was a clone of Sephiroth, made in a lab 5 years prior to the story starting or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. Good.
And they, at the end of that flashback, Tifa and her friends and Cloud, or Cloud's following them, go into Mount Nebel, and Tifa falls from the steepest rope bridge in the world. And Cloud gets blamed for it, basically. Why did you bring her here? And I think that's where you find out, like, that's why that Cloud joined Soldier, because he wanted to impress Tifa.
Yeah, it's this. I think later he almost gives a speech to the whole crew about how he was shy and, scared or whatever, and didn't really know how to prove himself. So he thought, well, everyone loves a soldier, I guess. Like those World War I propaganda posters, you won't have a girl on your arm if you don't go and fight the good fight.
And that's kind of the end of that flashback.
Good.
No, not the whole flashback, just that one, a sub flashback within the larger flashback, or the subconscious.
Hell. All right, keep going then.
So then there's
Back onto mute for you, Si.
Consider it done.
Then there's the final Nibelheim, and this is where they go into the reactor, and Cloud finally remembers that he was there. So he witnessed Zack getting biffed by Sephiroth.
Oh, this is good stuff. Surely you like this, Simon.
Yeah, that so watching it again, I was absolutely reveling in the bit where Cloud, you see like a shadow with a buster sword going up the steps, And then you still don't know anything. Like you obviously inferring that it is him. But
It's a
then
grunt, right? Though
it's
he's in
just
a
a
Shinra.
grunt. And then
Yeah.
like the grunt just like turns to the camera and in extremely poor graphics, just like the helmet just pops off his head, and you can and it's Cloud's blonde hair.
Because I just want to step back a second. So Sephiroth like hits Tifa or whatever, and then Zack goes after him, and Zack disappears into the Genova room, and Zack just comes flying out of it, right? And then Cloud picks up the Shinra grunt picks up the Buster sword and then goes running in, and that's awesome. That
So
is
good.
awesome.
It is a great bit. I'll give you that.
And he charges in, and Sephiroth is oodling Genova. Yeah. I think you do a deep dive on that and stabs him from behind, right?
No, so I think does Sephiroth or does he stab him? But Sephiroth ends up going back down the stairs
Yeah, he stabs him, and then Cloud leaves,
and
and
goes
then
to Tifa.
yeah, but the job's not done obviously because Sephiroth is really strong, and then they have that altercation on the bridge, which is also phenomenal.
Phenomenal, but also, how did Cloud do it? Was it because he was wounded?
I think this is supposed to. This implies the inner strength within Cloud, and his motivation is, because he's going, my friends, my family, my town. How could you do this? And Sephiroth's like, "Shut up, mate. You got lucky once," and stabs him with that incredibly long sword.
Sure, there's a
And
name for
then,
that sword.
do you know the name for that sword?
No, I don't, but I'm sure there is a name.
There's definitely a name for that. It's a real long, skinny sword. That's definitely out there. And Cloud pulls himself down the sword so he can get his feet on the ground, and then just sort of hoists Sephiroth into the life stream.
And so when he ends up in the live stream. So we've been referring to it in other podcasts where it's not when we're seeing Sephiroth throughout the game. It's not actually him, right? So the Sephiroth that falls into the live stream, is he the one that goes to the northern crater and ends
So
up?
yeah, I'm assuming the live stream almost takes him there,
Okay.
and then Genova is manipulating or controlling these apparitions of him, or it's him and them together, or unclear. But obviously, we don't see the real him again until last episode when we covered it, and I won't recover it like I tried to recover other things.
And that's basically the end of the flashbacks, or am I missing something, Sean? That's the end of like that therapy session.
Yeah, I mean that's where my notes stopped. And yeah, he goes. Yeah, that's if
He's
there's more.
He's put together the pieces of his shattered personality, and then him and Tifa wash up outside of the live stream, where somehow the group is waiting for them. And Cloud admits that he's never in Soldier, that he was ashamed of himself, that he was, and like he's managed to convince himself that he lived in Zack Fair's place, I guess.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that I think the surface level idea is that he convinced himself of that, but my sort of reading of it was like, well, maybe there's stuff we find out later, or it was before, I can't remember, or it's in a different game, but it sort of suggested that he also he gets a lot of Marco poisoning after his altercation with Sephiroth. Maybe this is fleshed out in Crisis Core or whatever. And he's like, we do see it in the flashbacks earlier, right? He's on the back of the truck. Zack's talking to him heaps, and he's just head bobbing as he does, crook as hell. And my sort of understanding is it was this time he spent with Zach telling him his story, basically taking Cloud to Midgar to hopefully get him some healing, and then, we're going to be mercenaries or whatever. And so that's why it gets embedded in him, because the time that he hears all of Zach's story is while he's in that sort of vegetative state.
I hadn't thought about it that much, to be honest, but I like the theory.
All I think about is the flashbacks.
You're a Cloud guy.
Yeah, while I'm grinding.
So Kate Sith has taken over.
She even.
Sorry, Kate She. Kate She has taken over the Turks.
Does he really deserve being called the correct name? I'm not sure anyway, but that's fine.
We call him Reeve.
Reeve basically has taken over the Turks, and in terms of leading the story, and says basically go to the underwater reactor at Junon. That's where the huge materia is, or the last huge materia is that you need to get. And now Cloud's
question
back in the
for you
lead.
guys.
Yeah.
Did you do the Ancient Forest minigame?
I went to it, and then is that the one with the bugs and stuff?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's awful.
I started it, and then after about 10 minutes of battling, I thought, no, I'm not going to do this. So I moved merrily on my way.
It's so hard, you can't do it with a walkthrough reading. You have to do it by watching someone else do it.
Yeah, I had to watch a YouTube walkthrough
Yeah.
instead of following my normal walkthrough.
And when I looked at the possible prize or reward, I can't remember what it was, but I remember thinking that's not worth the effort and going through with this, so I just didn't do it.
He's not a true grinder.
I've done a few mini games. I've got to the point where I've done a few of these moments and I've got the reward and gone, why did I do this? the championship belt in the battle arena, that's a piece of equipment I'll never equip.
I think I got the summon, and then there was one more thing to go, one more like screen to do. I couldn't follow it. I was like, oh no, I'm leaving. I'm done. I've finished putting these flies into these flowers and frogs, and I didn't like it very much.
The Ancient Forest, just for the folks at home, that's what you access after you the way I could access it, I think I destroyed ultimate weapon in a certain place, which allowed me it created a hole or a lump or something, and I could walk over that to the Ancient Forest. Is that how you guys got there as well? Or you can also get there by chocobo/chocobo, right?
Yeah, so after you've taken a certain amount of HP away from the ultimate weapon, I believe he just comes to rest over Cosmo Canyon, and that's when you can destroy him, and he leaves a massive crater there.
Okay, so you can get there also, though, right? If you haven't destroyed ultimate weapon, if you have a gold chocobo/chocobo.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why I've done it now, because I'm pretty sure as soon as I got Cloud back, I got into some breeding. Yeah. When are we going to talk about that?
And then you got a gold chocobo.
When are we going to run through breeding?
I don't really want to talk about the all the different greens and that stupid chocobo mage in the mountains.
Oh God! And just the amount of resets when you need a female green and you keep getting a female blue or a male green, but it goes like 2 yellows and then a yellow and a blue and then a blue and a green and then you get a black.
Yeah.
And then you get a black and a yellow, which you got to catch up in the mountains or something.
See, I'm really gutted I didn't do all these side missions by the sounds of it.
I've only done chocobo breeding in one playthrough, and I got to the end of it, got all the things that I like. I got the gold, got all the thing like Knights of the Round. And I just was a bit disappointed.
So, because most of the other things you can get other ways, right? Like some of them, you only need a gold for Knights of the Round, maybe.
I think so.
But black you can get, and there's like cave that you can go to get to get
And
W summon or something. Can't remember.
Yeah, and underwater. I think W summons in the battle arena, but
Yeah,
W,
right.
yeah, maybe W. Anyway, there's
I
like
had that, and I didn't do any chocoboing, so I think you're right.
yeah,
Chocobo.
but like it's real hard to get to Lucretia's waterfall, but you can do it with the submarine.
Yep.
And like, there's a few caves you can't get to unless you've got like maybe a green or a blue. So, because one of them runs on light water and the other one runs over mountains, right? So it's all like that. You can't land the Highwind there, but if you've got the gold, you just do all of it. And it doesn't. It's just. But there's a few things. I think you get either Vincent's ultimate limit break or ultimate weapon, one of the two. Certainly, the limit break's of no use because why would you use his limit break? But
Why would you?
But his ultimate weapon's all right. But then, because this is pretty not far off where I'm up to, I don't use anyone's ultimate weapon because they give no AP to your
Why
materia.
use it?
Literally only need it for the end of the game.
Yeah. All right, we'll get back to the huge materia hunt, where you head to Junin, and you have to go up the elevator, and there's like grunts, some horrific grunts in there, and you have to. They say, "Let's battle to see who gets to take the poor girl out." I think I've got Yuffie at that point, maybe.
Can you just tell the folks at home what you mean by grunt?
One of those battler Shinra guards.
The
maybe you've got Priscilla. Priscilla lets you in. I can't remember. There's a girl with me at that point.
battling of the battlers was really painful at this point. It was just there's just so many of them, and it's just it's actually quite boring, because it's just the same battle over and over again with them just shooting you and taking about 15 damage off you.
The only good thing is you can just slice them all, right? You don't have to worry about using any of your enemy skills or any of your materia. You just slice your way through.
It's quick.
So you fight Reno. Well, no, you don't fight Reno. You see Reno and he leaves you with some big spider. And you see that the huge materia is being loaded into the submarine. And I think you jump in the submarine.
Yeah, you've got to try to get past about 6 Shinra grunts who are all just running on a treadmill towards the submarine, but not actually moving, which was quite funny.
Oh, cold. And
what kind of podcast host just eats ice?
Complains about it.
Oh, my tooth just is real cold, eh?
What's he chewing ice?
Well, there's just one little bit of ice left in my drink.
Well, couldn't you just left it to melt?
I just went down my mouth when I was drinking. I didn't try to.
Unbelievable.
He's focused on the submarine mini game, which is one of the worst.
Fuck, that was so easy.
The thing is, I had no idea what I was doing.
I didn't initially, and then I was just like, I saw it locked on and just shot about 20 missiles, and it was gone, sunk.
I lost it for ages, and I was panicking, and I was having childhood trauma, and then I just bombarded it when I saw it, but I still don't realize. I was just pressing buttons. God, I was all over the place.
I liked the mini game because I felt like it sort of took me back to some Amiga game that I can't really remember the name of and may have not even played, but it was a sort of very late 80s, early 90s Amiga type vibe. So I don't like the game really on its merits, but just sort of nostalgia within nostalgia, really. I quite enjoyed the submarine minigame. You know, the grids, those sort of things, reminded me of like the old putting greens on the old golf games.
I think you'll find that game was called Flight Simulator.
Flight Simulator, yeah, it was.
Something
No, I
like that.
enjoyed it, but I'm not going to stick up for it though. If people bag it, I understand why.
Did you also just reference MS DOS's 3D golf in space?
Yeah, or Microsoft Golf. You're dancing. One of those ones. They were great.
There was that one on the MS DOS with like the arrow would point where it would go, and you just had to get your geometry sorted.
Yep. No. I'm talking about Microsoft Golf on the old Windows 95.
Oh, right. And I used to hammer the 3D golf when I needed a little break from SimCity 2000.
Yeah. No. Good break. Addictive game that.
Cloud has like a real weird claustrophobic moment in the submarine. I remember it snaps out of it quickly. And you have a rush to the airport at Junon, but the plane gets away. I have obviously Yuffie and Sid in my party, and they had rightfully no idea where it's going. But Cloud, who's been in pretty much a coma for the last however long, he knows. He says, it's going to Rocket Town, of course.
How does he know that?
He works in mysterious ways. What can I tell you?
He's got a direct line to Palmer, who loves the flight. What would you call it? The space program.
He loves the space program almost as much as Sid.
So you go to Rocket Town, and that bald git is still standing in the same spot, looking up at the rocket.
You've got to leave him alone.
He gives you something, apparently.
Yeah, he gives you Sid's final weapon.
Yeah.
Ultimate weapon. He's good for
Don't
something.
leave him alone. Don't leave him alone. Then talk to him by all means.
You need to bug him to get it too.
Yeah, you can't just talk to him once, eh?
You head to the rocket. You fight various grunts on the way up. And Sid, at this point, he just comes out and says he's ready to kick some Shinra asterisks, question mark, exclamation mark. And you run into Rude, who I think you seem to vanquish him. Like every time you fight a Turk, they run away at the end, but this time I think he gets the red boss, killed a boss moment. I could be wrong.
Rude, he's dead, is he?
Is he?
No Turks die.
All right, maybe he just runs away and I missed that part. There's no Palmer pulling a moon, though, at this point.
No. Didn't live up to that previous battle, did it?
When does Sid start rolling out all those amazing quotes in these parts? Because I don't write many quotes down while I'm playing this game, but I've written down Sid's flip-flopping about the space mission. You're stupid. You're really fucking stupid.
How do you know what the swear word is?
I read between the lines.
Yeah.
I don't know. At some point, he like just takes over the launching of the rocket after you've beaten all the grunts, and I think Sid doesn't want to get the materia, or like he's happy not to. Like, and Cloud convinces him that they need to get it. It's in like a thing that needs a passcode.
Yeah.
And my question to you guys is there any, like, I know in the Shinra Mansion, there's a way of finding out the code to get into the safe. Is there a way of finding this passcode out unless you have a walkthrough?
Yeah, I definitely don't remember this at all.
You've been great this podcast.
So that's my contribution.
It's sitting in the middle of a big round room that's reminiscent of the Death Star in parts. I don't remember if there are any clues or not. I think I just walked through it.
So we're not actually at the impassioned speech yet, I don't think.
Well, he gives an impassioned speech afterwards about how he didn't really care about the materia or Shinra or anything. He just really wanted to go to space. I quite like that confession.
Yeah, that was good.
Shera, our old mate. She's still in Rocket Town. She never got out. She's fixing part of the rocket.
I never do, those poor women.
She's still fixing part of the rocket.
It's the lower hut of this world. You'll never get out.
And Sid says, "Ah, great, what a bunch of wizards you guys are. She's going to take 100 years." So his impassioned speech is interrupted by Palmer. Not sure why Palmer is there, apart from the fact that he loves the space program.
It's amazing he survived that knock from the truck, really.
Yeah, I assumed he was dead.
Yeah, I definitely assumed he was dead.
There's another goddamn Shera in there. I think we find out now that it's headed for a collision with Meteor, and that's why it's on there.
Yeah.
And this is where Michael Bay got the idea for Armageddon.
I was going to say, this is where the Simpsons got their Professor Frink rocket at the Meteor episode.
There's a few little references you could talk about there. But Armageddon, it'd be interesting to see if that came out before Final Fantasy VII. That's right in that era. That's that 97.
Yeah, that is right there, eh? Because this is 97. Is that right?
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII?
I think Armageddon's bang on 97, if I had to guess. Bob, I see your phone's out. You can do the checking on that one for us.
98.
98. How audacious. Well, there you go. Bay was playing Final Fantasy VII religiously. That's
much like J.K. Rowling.
Well, pop culture owes a lot to Final Fantasy VII, as we're discovering.
Look, I know people don't like Michael Bay, but I think his 90s films are actually quite good.
Can you please list some for me?
The Rock. Armageddon. That'll do.
Some heavy doses of Nick Cage and Bruce Willis in those two films, so I'm not saying it's a bad review.
If you can watch The Rock and not enjoy every single line of that movie, you're mad. There's that part where Sean Connery's lecturing Nick Cage. Your best? Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
I've not seen The Rock.
Oh, no, I'll put that. That'll come out.
It's an Alcatraz. It's an Alcatraz movie, isn't it?
Yep.
There you go.
So I think you're trying to get to the escape pod, and Sid gets stuck under a blasted piece of metal, and basically he just tells him to leave him there. I think this is where Sid has the come to Jesus moment. That Shera was right about tank number 8.
Oh, he actually can see it in the pod, eh?
And he's suddenly concerned that he's been overreacting a bit for the last 10 years. And Shera comes to help. You stupid asterisk, question mark, exclamation mark, @sign. And then he apologizes because she's helping him. And he was wrong all this time.
He was. He really was. She's been vindicated. Not that it would actually matter, really, but she had absolutely been vindicated. And I think all the players kind of felt that all along, right? There was kind of a sneaking suspicion that Shera was doing a great job the whole time.
Saved his life.
That's right.
Bloody saved his life. The skate pod gets out. The rocket crashes into Meteor, and we get a glimpse of our next step in the story. Fucking Bugey.
Bugey.
Boogie, boogie, boogie.
That noise was me slamming my laptop with excitement.
Let it be known, I've received a number of comments after the release of the third podcast where we talk about Bugey and I slam him for the first time, backing me up, So, fuck you guys and fuck Bugey.
Can we get
There's
an
by any chance?
Can we get an IP address for those people backing you up?
Yeah, just
Or
wouldn't
they'll
by
be,
any chance be your friends, would they?
or just be on your Wi-Fi account and they're actually you with ghost accounts.
Well, that's where we're getting all our downloads from.
Yeah.
Bugey seemingly hasn't moved from where you last left him in the telescope tower. Cloud gets the crew in for a weird moment. And then you get to leave the huge materia with him. The guy that lied to his grandson about his heroic father.
All of a sudden, real keen for some travel.
He is keen.
Keen to get out and see the place. And I mean, is there much to be said for what happens here? They just decide that they're off to the Forgotten City to kill Sephiroth.
Yeah, I mean, that Bugey and the huge materia moment. Sean was talking about the heavy-handed metaphor earlier in the episode with the Earth and the raping of the resources that we've all been complicit in. And there's a shot of the planets, I think, in that part.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks remarkably similar to our solar system. So for me, that was like, I mean, it was already, as Sean said, heavy-handed, but I think that message just becomes even more explicit. Like that, yes, we are talking about this Earth that we're all ruining, and the solar system. So I quite like that they kind of, they'd hinted at it the whole time that it was very similar to Earth. But that for me confirmed it at that point. So that was what I wanted to say about my boy Bugey at that point. But I've got lots more later.
Yeah, as Sean mentioned, he suddenly becomes very interested in travel. So he comes with you on the Highwind.
Oh, how good.
Which is weird because he can float.
Wow.
He's got a floaty chair like our old mate, Professor Xavier.
Floating's not flying. Floating's not flying, though, is it?
And Professor X sucks. So does Bugey.
Yeah, look, if that's the simile, I'm now anti-Bugey. Because I think Professor X sucks.
I feel so alone.
Any bits on them being in the Highwind?
Yeah, I kind of just thought how multi-dimensional this proved Bugey to be honest with you. First of all, he just says to Cloud, and I'll be on the deck, just passing time. Vintage Bugey. Just doesn't really mean much. And then he says a couple of lines later, on this ship I feel the greatness of man's wisdom and knowledge in the smell of machinery. So I like that because it kind of, Bugey, they're hanging out in Cosmo Canyon. I think that'll all be anti-technology and whatnot, but the fact that Bugey recognizes that man's wisdom and knowledge can be seen in machinery, I thought was great. Really, it just kind of revealed him. He's not a one-trick pony. He's not anti-technology. Just the way it's been used, I guess, was how I read that.
You sound like a year 12 me waffling on an exam.
Also, it definitely looks like he's just wearing a blue puffer jacket.
That's the best point you've made. I'm sold.
Which is, I'm not for that. I'm not thinking that's a great thing, but that was just something I'd add to that.
I'd like to add some Bugey thoughts now that we're deep diving on him. I did a little, I was trying to work the Twitter sphere, and I was keen to post something of Bugey because he features on our most recent episode a bit, and the GIF that came up with him was a much more detailed piece of artwork, and his floaty chair looks like a green Swiss ball.
Oh, really?
It's like Boogie's been working the core up in the telescope room.
I
Hey,
thought he
look,
could just
what,
float.
you think he's floating by accident? Come on, that's years of hard work.
Oh shit! I hate him. You talk to Sid. You talk to Sid on the Highwind as you're heading back to the Forgotten City, and he says, "Eris, I wanted to give her a ride on the Highwind. Dirty bastard."
Yeah,
He would. Yeah.
that was weird, Where he just went around every single person. You could just go around talking about Aerith. And
Yeah.
then he just said
Whoa.
that.
Eris, Simon. Eris.
Sorry, Eris. And then he
Fuck you
just said that
guys.
random thing. Although I didn't quite read into it, the sexual connotations that you did, but that's fine.
We'll save the sexual connotations for what's to come.
I don't know what you're referring to, but here we go. So you get to the Forgotten City, and I think Boogie's like he floats ahead of you or something.
He leads the way.
Boogie's the driver.
Hmm.
For some reason. He goes on a rant about Holy, the white materia, and is that what fell out of Eris's hair when she died?
Alexander.
Mm.
Is that Alexander?
Yeah.
Or am I making that
So
up?
Alexander is a holy summon, but I think we did talk about this last pod maybe. But in not most, but in lots of Final Fantasies, holy is like a type of materia or an item or
Magic.
something. Magic, yeah, but in this one it's the great magic. So Alexander's the summon you can use with holy power, but I think what she was trying to summon wasn't Alexander.
Gotcha.
Because if it was, that would be how you would win the game.
Sure.
Either that or she's putting all her eggs in a pretty mediocre summon basket to try and beat Sephiroth. It's like, Aerith, you could have waited a little grinding time. We could have got Knights of the Round on him.
I think Boogie's rant talks about that the holy material will destroy everything bad on the planet.
Oh, I love
Humans
this
bad?
part. Loved it. Sorry, say that again, Sam, because I was just talking over you that whole time.
I just had the question: are humans bad then?
Well, that's what he asks.
Yeah, so will they?
He
just
does.
be
He sort of
destroyed?
insinuates, will this be the end of mankind?
Well, I've got the quote verbatim here. Can I read the quote verbatim from Bugey?
Yeah.
So he says, "All that is bad for the planet will disappear. Ho ho hoo. I wonder which we humans are." So I don't think he's asking whether humans will disappear. I think he's asking, are we bad or are we good?
Yeah.
Really, which is, one of the age-old questions, really, that sort of struggle between good and evil within humankind. That's what I took from that, anyway.
I mean, there's one obvious remedy to climate change.
Kill us.
Yeah,
Exactly.
won't be a problem if we're not around.
Yeah, get rid of us and we're sweet.
I wonder what the real life equivalent of the holy materia is.
I think Elon Musk is growing it. Could be COVID. An ancient human has cast COVID.
He ends up getting the key to the ancients, which is that big knobbly stick that you found floating underwater. You had to find floating underwater before you went there.
Oh, that's right.
That was definite walkthrough for me.
Mm.
It's underneath the northern continent.
Yeah.
You go there in the submarine.
This is in the submarine. This is that we skipped over Galnica, didn't we?
Could you? Yeah, you can go to the Galnica once you get the submarine. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's not much happening there. It's just some real tough battles.
Not to mention yet another mediocre run-in with the Turks. I'll just add. At this point, I mean, this is my one sort of shtick, so I'll just talk about this very briefly. I said in an earlier pod about how I think the game creators almost realise how ridiculous all the run-ins become with the Turks. And at this point, it's very clear that they do. I think they say, Cloud says Turks, and then Rude says again, Exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark. So I think they're having a bit of fun with that relationship between your party and how ridiculously often you run into the Turks.
Have you guys seen Advent Children?
Nah, but I want to
Definitely
watch
not.
it.
It's like a straight to DVD sequel to this game, and Turks feature heavily again.
Mm.
I can't remember which one, but one of them's got the Battle Wind music as his ringtone.
I'm keen to play Crisis Core as well, actually.
Yeah, I'm keen to give Crisis Core a crack. Anyway, sorry.
So, speaking of encounters, since I got the submarine, I am just shit scared of running into the emerald weapon. Every time I duck down,
Straight up.
it's like it's right near me. I'm like the circle or whatever it is on the Steam controls. I'm out of there.
Yeah, every button until you're on the surface.
I just also say about the submarine. No, I'm going to give a shtick from the folks at home, but look, the vastness. It's great. This game is already so vast. We talked about it earlier. You leave Midgar, and this world map appears, and you just are blown away. And then there's a whole freaking world underneath that huge world map that you're amazed by.
It reminds me of building an intricate subway system on SimCity 2000.
Yeah, I loved going underwater. Loved avoiding the emerald weapon and getting that weird key thing. It was great.
Yeah, so going back to that knobbly stick that he is supposedly the key to the ancients. I think they show Eris's death again, which
They do.
A bit
They
soon.
do. And I thought that there may have been some biblical connotations there. Eris structurally looks a little bit like Jesus. There's a bit of sacrifice going on. I looked up.
Geez, you guys are really bringing the bloody English symbolism and metaphors and all that.
Easter's around the corner, mate.
I thought about it. I checked online, and then somebody had already made that suggestion. So it's certainly not an original suggestion. And every single person on that message board slammed the guy. Like, you're an idiot. Like, no way. So I was apparently completely wrong about that. Anyway.
And Kate Sith / she, again, only good for advancing the plot, calls about the Sister Ray, the cannon, being taken from Junon to Midgar.
That's right.
As you're heading out of the Forgotten City, everything starts shaking and a crazy looking monster pops out of the sea. I think, is this diamond weapon?
It's definitely a weapon.
There were some crickets there once I said diamond weapon.
It wasn't a hard weapon to defeat from memory, though. And it was quite a cool scene, actually, sort of just... even though it was in the 8-bit graphics, just seeing it sort of emerge gradually out of the water was quite cool from memory.
Yeah, so everything's flashing on the red on the Highwind. One of the plane grunts says that the signals seem to be coming from Kate Sith, or she. So what we know is the weapon's heading for Midgar. Barrett is concerned for Marlene because, of course, he is. Even though he hasn't seen her in God knows how long.
It is hard to know how much time passes in this game.
Barrett packs a huff with Kate, who rightly asks Barrett how many people he think died when he blew up reactor number 1.
Oh yeah, that's a really nice little back and forward there.
That was for the good of the planet. Was my Barrett.
Wasn't Mr. T enough.
Very good, very good.
You defeat weapon, and Kate Sith says, "Is like a plane coming? Pick them up, or do you see? Is this where you find out that Kate she is Reeve?
Reeve? I thought we already knew. Or is it? But I thought we found out when Kate she 1 died. I don't know, man. switch off a little bit when that marshmallow's talking.
Oh, 100% switch off. We don't know and we don't care. Let's move on.
You get a hay digger / high digger. It's definitely high digger. And Scarlet doing their, he calls them their laughs. How does high digger's laugh go, Sean?
Isn't it like gwah ha ha ha?
Is this the big clod bit?
No, we're not in there yet. But I think this we find out that Reeve has been taken. That they find out that Kate Sith or Reeve is now trying to help them get into Midgar, and then Reeve is taken prisoner by them. Scarlet.
Oh, that's right. Kate, she kind of shuts down or something, eh?
And they parachute into Midgar.
That's a cool bit.
To stop.
That is cool.
Hojo's scheme. What's Hojo's scheme? Is he using the Sister Ray to shoot what?
Yeah, I've got questions about Avalanche derailing Shinra's half-decent plans to save the planet.
So Hojo takes over the Mako reactor and attempts to increase its output in some scheme to give more Mako energy to Sephiroth.
I just got a quote here. Sorry, I missed this. I don't write down many quotes. On the way to Midgar, before the parachuting scene, you're on the Highwind, you can have some more yarns. You go up to Vincent, and he says, Hojo, what a queer fellow.
He's not wrong.
No, he's a very odd guy.
That's Vincent saying you're a queer fellow. Yeah. You're a queer fellow.
He's I did a bit of research. His backstory is really interesting.
Vincent's.
Yeah.
I told you guys. I think we talked about it last pod.
What I read was, I'll send it to you guys, is real interesting. Maybe we can talk about it in the next pod, or someone might ask us a question about it or something.
He was a Turk, eh? I was right about that.
Yeah, definitely. But there's heaps more to his backstory, and I'll be keen to look at that.
Sweet, good.
So this is Shinra's end, because they parachute into Midgar and they go through the sewers, and you have that final run-in with the Turks, and then you fight Proud Clod, that massive boss.
Yep.
That's pretty funny, that bit.
Cloud confronts Hojo at the reactor, where Hojo is even more crazy than he normally is. He dismisses Cloud, he's a failure, and he's explaining to him that he's attempting to send this energy to help Sephiroth because Sephiroth is his son. And so...
Can I just go back on the big clod thing briefly?
Yeah.
So our favourite Heidegger and Scarlet, like Big Clod has this outstretched hand, like no rails or anything like that, and Heidegger and Scarlet like cackling, full body convulsing, and they almost fall like over the edge of Big Clod's hand before the battle begins. It's ridiculous.
Eager beavers.
Very. Go on, Hojo. Sorry.
So he drops the bomb that Sephiroth is his son. So he had a son with the scientist Lucretia, who Vincent was in love with, and he injected Sephiroth with Genova's cells while it was still in her womb or something. Is that right?
So I did some research on this after playing this part of the game, and I've still got several tabs open on my phone trying to understand Hojo's backstory. And I'm not convinced he is actually his father, or he just thinks it. I don't know. But
we find out now that, well, what I would glean from it is that Sephiroth's father is Hojo, Sephiroth's mother is Lucretia, not Genova.
Yes.
But he has Genova cells injected into him at some point.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is that's what Hojo is telling us. But in my journey through the depths of the internet to try and discover whether or not Hojo is correct. I
Mm.
got nowhere. So maybe
This was
that'll
the
be
point.
unveiled for us soon.
This was the point where the original time I played this, when I was young, this is I got to and I couldn't get past. I had Vincent in my party, and I just kept using his limit break,
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
and I couldn't, and I just didn't even think. I was like 11 or something, and I just didn't think about it, and I just gave up on the game at this point and thought that this was like the hardest boss ever, and he was real easy when I played him this time. And Shinra is then left in ruins. Cloud and the others sail through the skies in the Highwind. He gives a bloody great motivational speech, which I'm sure Sean reveled in. Everyone's fighting. He talks about everyone's fighting for themselves and those closest to them. Except Red 11, he's not fighting for Bugey.
No.
Cloud
No.
Cloud says something real ridiculous then that I alluded to in an earlier pod. I'm paraphrasing, but he says, "My personal feud with Sephiroth is why I'm doing this. Saving the planet just happens to be part of it." It almost ruins the game. It's just one of the most ridiculous things anyone could ever say. Now, that's not a verbatim quote, but it's basically what he says.
Why is that ridiculous?
Like, surely
He's keen to save the planet.
Yeah, surely the planet's more important than like a feud.
Surely, even if it's not to save the whole planet, it's to save the planet so he could save his friends.
Or it's
Maybe.
to save the planet to share more moments with Tifa.
Oh, what a segue.
Can we get before, please? I need to mention this is really important. The night before, the world's greatest drillers fly into space to destroy an asteroid to save the world in 1998's greatest film, Armageddon. Bruce Willis pleads with Billy Bob Thornton. You got to give these guys one night off. I know they're on, it's top secret. They can't tell anyone what's going on. If they don't go home and see their families and realize what they're fighting for, they're not going to know what to do when they get up there.
Oh, I don't want to close my eyes.
And so, Michael Bay, big fan of Final Fantasy VII.
So you're suggesting that scene with Liv Tyler and Ben Affleck is basically the equivalent scene of Tifa and Cloud. Is that right? Is that what is? Maybe I'm wrong. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I think you're bang on, and I think you'll find that if it doesn't already exist, it will by tomorrow. Because I'm going to do it tonight. That scene of them talking on the mountain with Aerosmith playing over the top.
You have to make that happen. You have to make that happen.
If that's not a thing, it's going to be a thing.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone make the connection, Sean. So,
have you seen Armageddon?
Long time ago.
I saw it at the cinema.
Oh, same. I think I cried when Bruce Willis sacrificed himself. I also love the part where Buscemi goes crazy and old mate from Prison Break goes,
Buscemi.
He's got space dementia. What the fuck is... Oh, what are you doing with a gun in space?
Buscemi shit. We've got to sort that pronunciation by the time we get to our Big Lebowski podcast.
Buscemi.
So Cloud and Tifa. That I didn't pick that up until this time I played.
Nah. But this time, clear as day.
It even has passing time and then they wake up.
In a cuddle.
Mm.
Which means he really likes her. Am I right, guys?
It says, we've got a big battle. We should get some sleep. And then Tifa says, ... Bloody Michael Bay.
Apparently, either in the I can't remember exactly, but originally in the script it was more explicit than this.
I'm glad it was not explicit. Not
Yeah,
on
same.
a
It's
prudish note, but some things are better left unsaid, and I felt like the scene was delicately dealt with, and I wouldn't make any changes.
I think this also cements the fact for people who indulge the love triangle that Cloud and Tifa are the couple of this game. And then I think probably, if I haven't played it, but if you play Crisis Core, that gets further cemented with Zack and Aerith's relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've read. Apparently they go
Which
on
is
a couple of dates.
So good. Sam, you know love triangles do my head in. I'm sick of that scumbag Meg hitting on Jean.
I don't know what you were talking about. All right, we will leave it there, and our last podcast will be we'll wrap it up. Basically, we will go through the Northern Crater, which probably won't take that long, and we'll talk. We'll just reflect on our last moments playing the game. Talk about if there's anything that's changed for you this time around compared to maybe when you first played it or last time you played it. I'll be interested to hear your take on that, Simon. If you've got any questions, send them to us via any of our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, put us in the Slacks, whatever's easiest for you.
Speaking of the Slacks, Sam, I just wanted to shout out to our biggest fan on YouTube, a Ruben, who as recently as 4 hours ago left this lovely little comment on our most recent video. I love blowing into my game cartridge.
Ruben Wiki.
He's also said great things like, where's the comments on this one? Wow, I felt so engaged.
I think Ruben might be pulling our leg.
No, Ruben's our biggest fan, and I'm a
How
big fan of Ruben.
How much are we paying Ruben? This is good stuff.
Anchor dollars.
That was some really riveting content.
Love it.
All right, we're rambling.
Yeah, we love Ruben, and anyone else who wants to leave. I think the only other person who's left comments on YouTube is me.
Yeah, well, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get
there. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Cheers.
Peace.